All right, what's up, guys? So today's work, I spent yesterday's day grading. Everything's up to date except I need to put in that quiz that we took. Looks like probably a little less than half of you turned in the stuff from yesterday. I'm gonna grade the stuff this week. I'm gonna make it worth a lot of points, so make sure it gets in. For those people who turned it in on time, I gave you extra credit. Those people who did turn it in look great. So make sure today, if you haven't turned that in, work on today's work and also get in yesterday's as soon as possible. And for those people who did yesterday's, great job. Keep it up. All right. Today's, go ahead and get out a piece of paper and copy these problems down. Let's see if I can get this straight. There we go. It's not even straight. Okay. Come on. There you go. Copy these problems down. And use cross multiplication to figure out what they are. They all will be kind of ugly answers. I'll do, just to refresh, I'll do one of them. I'll do number 5 because it's so easy. Now this one I can already tell is negative 35, but let's say I didn't know what it is. I can go, and I'll include the negative with that. So negative 2 times x. And this way I can have equals 7 times 10. So negative 2x equals 70. I got to divide by negative 2 because I want x by itself. I don't want to multiply by negative 2. So boom, 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 x equals negative 35. Okay. So go ahead and do those 6 warm-up problems. And when you're done with those, you can move on. You can pause the video, move on to the notes. You should do this all on one piece of paper, and then you can take a picture and send it in. Okay, so notes today. Now this might be a gigantic fail, as this is kind of a big new thing. But I'm gonna do it anyway. Okay, here we go. We've been learning about lines in this form, y equals mx plus b form. There's actually a name for that form. It's called slope-intercept. Slope-intercept form. Go ahead and write this down. Now, why is it called that? Well, it's because in our equation, we've got the slope right there, and we've got the y-intercept. So those are the two things the equation tells us, so we call that the slope-intercept form. Those are the two things that when I look at the equation, it basically tells me right away. So if I was trying to get an equation of this graph over here, it's really easy for me to do because I know the slope. It goes up 1, 2, 3 over 1. So the slope is 3 over 1, or 3. And I know the y-intercept right there at 2. So since I know the slope and the intercept, I put this into the slope-intercept form, and I get y equals the slope, 3x, plus the intercept is 2. Really easy, and I told you that that's pretty much my favorite favorite form, the slope-intercept form. But not always is every problem you're ever going to work on give you everything you need. It's not going to give you the graph. It's not going to give you like all the perfect points that line up perfectly on the line. What if they there's going to be some, and I'm going to just make this ugly all of a sudden. I'm going to go like this and just say, what if they didn't really give us anything down here? You can't even see the graph, but you had these 2 points. You knew the slope, and maybe you knew that this point was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This point right here is 2, 8. So now, can I figure this out and get an equation for the line if I only know a point, I know this point, and I know the slope. I don't know where it hits. I don't know the intercept. I don't know where it hits over here. It's like either covered up or I doesn't know or whatever. Can I do it with this information when I don't have the y-intercept? I can, and it's really easy, but we have to use a different form, a different formula completely. This one's called the point slope form. So I'm going to write it down here. So I should do a different color. It doesn't stick out well. The point slope form. So this equation I use when I don't have the slope and the intercept. I just have a point and a slope. Okay, so I could figure it out and go do a lot of work, but there's an easier equation. Here's the equation. Y minus y1 equals the slope x minus times x minus x1. And you might be going like, what the heck is that? This is a formula that I don't use as much. It's not as like useful, I guess, but it does have one use. And right now, let's say we only know these two things. We only know that there's a point on the graph that's 2, 8. I see that up there. And I know the slope is 3. I can use these two pieces of information in this form, which is the point slope form, because it's a formula for just if we only know these two things, and I can figure this out. What I do is I start with y, and I subtract whatever the y point is. So right here, the y point is 8. So I'm going to say y minus 8 equals the slope, which is 3, times x minus the x point, x minus 2. And you're like, okay, wait, that doesn't, because this is the x and this is the y. So the y minus the y point equals the slope times the x minus the x point. And you're like, okay, but how does that look like? Didn't we already say that the equation should be y equals 3x plus 2? Don't we already know that's the equation? How do these look the same? Well, they are the same. Check it out. If I try to solve this blue one for y to get y by itself and put it back into slope-intercept form, like the red one is, first thing I'm going to do is, and make sure you guys do these steps, is remember if I want to get rid of parentheses, I have to multiply the outside times both. So now I have y minus 8 equals 3 times x is 3x. And 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Okay, so that's one good step. Now if I want to get y all by itself, I'm going to move this negative 8 all the way over to the other side. But when it switches sides, it becomes positive 8. So y equals 3x minus 6, but now plus 8. And negative 6 plus 8 is positive 2. So y equals 3x plus 2. And check that out. They're the same exact answer. They're the same equation. It's just you can get there using only a point and only a slope if you plug it into the point slope form equation, which once again is you take the y and you subtract, it's called y1, or you subtract the y point, and you take the slope, m, and you multiply that by x minus the x point. Now, does it matter which point I take? What was, if this was this other point up here before I started making it all ugly, this other point up here, ooh, it's not erasing. Okay. Oh, there we go. This other point up here was, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 5. Would it have worked if I used the point 1, 5? Let's see. I'll use the point 1, 5, and I know my slope is still 3. Would it have worked if I used that point? Let's see. Y minus the y point, which is 5, equals the slope, 3, and then x minus the x point, which is 1. Okay, that looks different. Let's see. I'm going to do distribute the 3 into the parentheses. So y minus 5 equals 3x minus 3. I'm going to add this. I'm going to take this negative 5 and put it all the way over there. And I get y equals 3x minus 3 plus 5. Y equals 3x plus 2. Oh, look, I got to the same equation. So if you only know one point and you know the slope, you can use this formula to help you quickly figure out the real formula, like the slope-intercept form that you want to know. So it's another style of equation that people use to figure out the equations of lines. So hopefully you guys have all this down. If you need to go back and rewatch this part again, go ahead and do that. But I want to see this in your notes. What I really want to see is that you have the point slope form formula written down, a couple examples that I did of how we solve them, and now let's do a few problems together. All right, let's see. All right, this is from page 224. You can do it in there and take a picture, or you can just write this down as your homework for tonight. So problem number 1, you're going to write down, if you're doing this not on the paper, you could say, okay, we're going to go through 2, 5, and the slope is 4. We're thinking of a line that goes through the point 2, 5, and the slope is 4. Now, I don't have to graph it. I don't need to figure this out. I already have enough information to do it. I'm going to use my point slope formula. So it's the y minus the y coordinate, or y1, equals the slope times x minus the x. All right, so I have to know which one's my x and which one's my y. My first one's my x, my second one's my y. So I'm going to go y minus 5 equals the slope, which is 4, and then x minus the x minus 2. And there's it says write an equation in point slope. Done. Now, can we turn this to slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b? Okay, what are we going to do first? We're going to get rid of parentheses. And we're going to say y minus 5 equals 4 times x is 4x. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8, and we got rid of the parentheses. Now we're just going to take this negative 5 and move it over here under this one and make it positive 5. So that y equals 4x. Negative 8 plus 5 is negative 3. 4x minus 3. So we did it in two different forms. Right here is in slope or point slope. And right here is in slope intercept. They're both describing the same line. They're just in different forms. I personally prefer the slope intercept, the y equals mx plus b. But we can see why the other one's helpful. All right, let's do number 2. So number 2, I'll do change. All right, it goes through negative 3, 1. Ooh, and negative 2, 1. This is good. Okay. Oh, negative 2, negative 1. This one, it doesn't give us a point. It doesn't give us a slope. It gives us 2 points. Okay, so what can we do? All right, first, I need to find out the slope from those 2 points, so I can do that. Let's see. I can do my formula where I do for slope. where I go, I can make an XY chart if I want to. I think some of you think that's easier. Let's see, -2, -1, and -3, 1. This one goes up 2. This one goes down 1. So the slope is 2 over -1 or -2. So now I know my slope. I know my slope is 2. Now I know my slope. And I can use either point. I'll use this point. So I got to take the y minus the y equals the slope times x minus the x. All right, so here's the x, here's the y. We'll go y minus 1, that's what the equals, the slope is -2 times x, minus the x. So we have x minus -3. But remember, when we subtract a negative, we have two negatives right next to each other. I can just go like this and say, nope, that's a positive. So x plus 3, actually. Okay, so I have y minus 1 equals -2 times x plus 3, because we subtracted a negative. All right, I'm gonna try to get it in y equals mx plus b form, or slope intercept form. We're gonna go -2 times x is -2x. -2 times +3 is -6. We gotta remember the negative too. So y minus 1 equals -2x minus 6. Okay, we're gonna take this -1 and we're gonna move it over here. But now it becomes +1. And we get y equals -2x minus 5. All right, we got both forms. We've got the point slope, and now we have the slope intercept. All right, so this one was kind of cool. This one gave us 2 points, and from 2 points first we can figure out the slope, and then when we have a slope we can use slope, and we have a point and we have a slope, then we can do point slope. Let's see. Okay. Janelle is planning a party. The cost for 20 people is $290. The cost for 45 people is $590. Write an equation and point slope to represent the cost of having a party for X people. All right, so basically this is like the last one. We know, I'm gonna do it right here. For number 3. We know 2 points. If we say, if they said y is cost and x is people, that's what they said. Y is cost and x is people. Okay, then I have 2 points. They said, let's see, 20 people is $290, so we have that point, 20, 290. And we also have the other point, 45 people is $590. So now that we have these 2 points, we don't even have to think of them as peoples and dollars. We can just think of them as points on a graph. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the slope at those points. So I'm going to go XY chart. And I've got the point 20, 290. And I've got the point 45, 590. And this went up $300. So slope is 300 divided by, this went up 25 people divided by 25. and that's 12. So the slope is 12. Okay, now that I know the slope, I can plug it in. I'll use this point. We'll do the y minus the y equals the slope, the x minus the x. Okay, so I know the slope is 12. I'll plug in the 12. I'll do y minus, I'll use this point over here, 290 equals 12 times x minus 20. Okay, now I'm going to do my distributing. Let's see. 12 times x is 12x. 12 times negative 20 is negative 240. So we have y minus 290 equals 12x minus 240. All right, I'm going to take this negative 290, and I'm going to put it over there. And I've got positive 290, which leaves me with y equals 12x. Negative 240 plus 290 is positive 50. So y equals 12x plus 50 is the equation. What that means to me is that the cost of the party is $12. Every time a person comes, it's going to be $12 more expensive, and it costs $50 right up front just to start. So it's $50 plus $12 per person is what that party is going to end up costing. And we could tell that just by knowing two different situations, that 20 people cost 290 and that 45 people cost 590. We basically could use those 2 points, find a slope, and then find an equation. Number 4, building on an essential question. How does using point-slope form of a line make it easier to write the equation of a line? It just figures out another way for us to get to y equals mx plus b, but let's just go ahead and skip that one. All right. So your homework, and I'll do these later, is can you do problem 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6? Again, you're going to use y minus the y, y1 equals slope x minus the x. And if they give you the point and the slope, just plug them in. If they give you 2 points, first, like in number 4, 5, and 6, they give you 2 points, so you're going to have to find the slope first from those 2 points. And then you're going to have to turn them into slope intercept. Good luck. I'll put out another video if you're having a hard time with this one, but this one's just getting long. So good luck.